Christa Jacobson, headmistress of the Budo, where we teach authentic ninjutsu and classical samurai bujutsu. And for those of you who don't know what that is, those are the ancient martial arts of the ninja and samurai. In today's video, I'm going to discuss a topic that's very dynamic with you guys today. And this particular topic is going to go around like self-defense, situational awareness, concealed carry, and how all of these things have changed because of all of our social changes due to the pandemic and COVID. So that's going to be kind of the topic today, and definitely want some feedback from you guys because I have some questions for you guys as well as we go through. Now, I am on my way running some errands today, out and about. But before I begin this topic, I always give a shout out to all of my new viewers. So if this is the first video that you guys have seen of me, I am Christa Jacobson. I am the headmistress of the Budo. We teach Koryu Ninjutsu and Koryu Bujutsu, which means the ancient martial arts of the ninja and samurai. We do have other areas of focus within this school, such as reality-based self-defense, weapons training and tactics, concealed carry, survival skills, martial arts theory, thought and philosophy, and martial arts conditioning. So if any of those topics at all interest you, please subscribe to my YouTube channel. Don't forget to click the bell. That way you guys can keep up with everything that we do. I do post 2 to 3 videos a week. So if you're interested in any of those topics, subscribe, click the bell, and you can get notified and keep up with everything that we are doing. Regarding the topic of self-defense, if we go back a year ago, the majority of people weren't wearing masks when they go out in public and you know, things of that nature. If you was to walk into Walmart and you saw someone wearing a mask that had like teeth on it or whatever, or a bunch of people walking around with masks and hoods and all this kind of stuff, you would, from a situational awareness perspective, from a self-defense perspective, you'd ping this person, maybe not as a threat. You know, I wouldn't say like it's the red exclamation point. You wouldn't put them in that category, but you definitely put them in the yellow, meaning you're aware of that person. Why would someone want to hide their identity? Why would someone want to, you know, change the makeup of what they're wearing on their face and things like this in the middle of Walmart? Like, what's the point? You know, you would probably put them in a different category of being aware of what they're doing and how they're doing it. Just the same, if you go back a year ago, you walk out of Walmart and you're putting your groceries in your car and all this kind of stuff, and you see someone walking through the parking lot, whether it's Walmart, grocery store, Target, wherever you guys shop, then you see somebody walking by and he's got a mask on and he's got a big hood on and all this kind of stuff. You would immediately, again, depending on other things and other body language, body mechanics, the way he's carrying himself, all these other things that you have to factor in when dealing with situational awareness. But you would definitely put him in the yellow, right? You would definitely put him in the yellow because just simply because here's someone that's walking around in the parking lot and he's concealing his identity, things of that nature. So just a year ago, things that was not normal, or what we would never deem as normal, and what we would actually say is probably, you know, if this happens, you should be aware of this, or this is maybe not, like I said, it's not in the red exclamation point, it's definitely in the yellow exclamation point. You should be aware of that individual. Now we see it as normal. Everybody walks around with a mask. Everyone's covering themselves up. And who knows for what reason. There's lots of reasons, which we're going to get into that here in a second. But the purpose of this is to discuss some of these hot topics and these things that you guys should be aware of when you are out and about. The reality of the situation is that this virus is here. And no matter what you want, you know, was it the president's fault? Was it, you know, this country's fault? What did this happen? Who did what, and then, you know, we can nitpick, we can sit there and point the fingers, and we can discuss lots of different variables and variations and origins and where the virus came from. I mean, we can sit there and nitpick the stuff to death, but the reality of it is we need to go back to really focus on that one saying by Miyamoto Musashi, do nothing of no use. Who gives a shit? You know, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter that, you know, whether the president did or didn't do something, whether the CDC did or did not say something, or whether whatever guidelines were broken, or what country did what. The reality of it is, because of this virus, because of this global pandemic that's killed so many people all over the world, our lives have changed, and there have been changes made socially. And because of these changes socially, even if you're a no masker and a no vaxxer, even if you're on that side, you still have to admit that society has changed. The vast majority of people in our country are wearing masks. They're covering their bodies up more. They're being more aware of where people are. Distancing between individuals is much different. The way people walk up to you and talk to you and interact with you is way different than what it was before. And again, it doesn't matter who you want to point the finger to. It doesn't matter who you want to blame. It absolutely doesn't. That has nothing to do with any of it. It doesn't matter whether you're a no masker or a no vaxxer. We still have to, from a martial arts perspective, from a self-defense perspective, we are still having to deal with this from a social perspective, because so many people, are living their lives now a certain way, wearing the masks, socially distancing, covering their bodies up, and that does pose different threats, and it does make certain things more difficult to deal with when we're talking about situational awareness, sizing up an individual. Are they carrying a weapon? Are they not carrying a weapon? Things of that nature. So before I move on to the next section of this, I need to get some gas. So that's where I'm at now. All right, just got fueling up. And like I said, I've been running errands today. Earlier, I wouldn't wash my car. I had to get it all cleaned up. I think any of you guys who follow my channel long enough, you guys know I'm really big into racing, street racing, drifting, really into American muscle cars, classic or otherwise. I just love, the muscle cars. Absolutely love. Huge Ford Mustang fan. I've got Mustang GT, and I've put so much into this car. So it's one of my loves. It's one of the things that I love to do outside of the dojo, is that sort of thing. So I always keep good care of my car. Anyway, let's get back on point. I don't need to talk about, the Mustang and all that right now, and that's not for this video. So we're talking about situational awareness in the time. Now I'm going to talk about a few different things that I use, but I definitely want you guys to share your thoughts on situational tactics as it pertains to the new social construct. You can't just say, hey, dude's wearing a mask, so we're going to go ahead and just call that guy, he's a threat. Well, everyone wearing a mask now. But it's not just the mask thing. It's also, before, when you'd have people that were, when people are friendly, they get close to you. They talk to you. Now, people don't get close. Even friendly people. They don't want to talk to you. They don't even want to get anywhere near your, what I would say, breath zone. You know what I mean? So everybody has a sense of distancing, which I think it's sad that we are in this situation. But the reality of it is, we are in this situation. Another thing that makes it very difficult is previous, here I live in Kansas, right? I'm in Kansas City, and in the state that I live in, you don't even have to have a concealed carry license to carry a gun. Everybody here carries a gun or a knife, and I am very, very pro weapon. Very pro weapon. The ninja, samurai, they carried blades, and I encourage my students, and of course you guys can do what you want, but I encourage all of my students to carry a knife at the bare minimum. And there's lots of reasons why, and I'm going to go over that today because it does pertain to this particular video. But let me get my hair in a ponytail real quick. Get this all out of my face here. So I think everyone should be carrying a knife. Now, before we get to that point, I just want to say this. Previous, though, when we were going back a year or so, people who were really good, you couldn't do it. But the average person who's carrying a gun, a knife, some sort of concealed carry, some sort of weapon, if you're truly trained in self-defense, you're truly trained in Goshin Jutsu, you are constantly developing skills within situational awareness, things of this nature, understanding the elements in your environment. You would be able to ping people really quick. They're carrying a weapon. They move like this. They bent over like this. They're walking like this. You can see it. Anyone who does concealed carry or carries can see it. Anyone who studies the movement can understand it. If you don't carry, you don't watch it. Well, then you're in my opinion, you're at a vast disadvantage when it comes to self-defense, because self-defense or defending yourself, primarily needs to be in the realm of situation awareness so that you can understand the environment and then have the correct response in the situation or the attack or action that's needed. But if you're not paying attention to the area, well, shit, you know, that you're taking, to me, that's just not smart. But that's just me. And everyone does their own deal, I guess. But situational awareness is key. I want to make sure I discuss a reason why I think everyone should be carrying at least a bare minimum of a knife. And ninja wore blades, samurai wore blades. In fact, the arts that I teach, the Koryu Ninjutsu and Koryu Bujutsu, it's all about blades, having a blade. They had firearms too. People get this idea that ninja and samurai didn't have firearms. They absolutely had firearms. But it's just not like we have today. But a blade is a blade, regardless of how you want to shake that. An edged weapon is an edged weapon. So if you're training in an art that bases everything on an edged weapon, I think you should be carrying an edged weapon. Now, me personally, I like to have them that are not a fixed blade. A fixed blade, I'm not gonna unlock here while I'm driving. I mean, you know, it's not smart over here trying to, shift gears and talk to you guys while I'm driving around the neighborhood, and then I'm unlocking a blade. Probably not the smartest, but a fixed blade is where the blade is already out and it's up, so you'd pull it from a sheath. Here, the non-fixed blade, you have to pull it, you have to unlock it and flip it out so that you can then use it if you need to. I prefer that my students carry something like this, and the reason for that, and there's lots, and I've talked about what knives I think my students should carry and all this kind of stuff. I mean, you guys can just get on YouTube and search Tanto Jutsu, knife fighting, Soke, Anshu, and you guys can come up with all those videos. I mean, they're all on there. If you have a knife that's fixed, so you pull it out of the sheath, you pull it out, it's already ready to go, and you can use it from a self-defense perspective. We're going to take a side note from situation awareness. Although, yes, that may be more efficient in the realm of doing damage to the attacker, the problem is you don't have as many options. I think that you should be carrying something like this, and the reason is because even if you don't use it with the blade out, this one has a glass breaker on the end of it, right? So you can break in, get out of your car or whatever, or get inside a car or whatnot, I guess, but it has a glass breaker on the end of it, right? Now, even if you're trained in martial arts, and let's say that I'm going to paint a picture, you have a woman, she's 110 pounds, and then you have a dude that's 250 pounds. Obviously, the size difference advantage goes to the attacker. If she pulls this out and she holds it, just like, we know we have Tetsuyuchi, the hammer fists, right, or whatnot, and we're doing, strikes of this, and you're holding it in, you're striking with this, hitting someone with a force multiplier, right? Hitting someone with a force multiplier into their jaw, face, all this, the soft tissue, that's going to cause 10 times more damage than hitting them with a fist, without doubt. So even if you're just using this as a force multiplier, which would be number one thing, you pull it, you hit somebody. Even if that's what you're using it for, then use it for that purpose. If you hit them and then they decide to then continue their attack on you, well, then you can pull the knife and then use it in that realm to do even more damage to the particular attacker. You would be able to articulate that in court to the judge. Either way, it doesn't matter whether you're not the attacker or not, you still got to articulate what happened in front of a judge. Always remember that. Don't ever think just because you did something good, you don't have to get in front of the judge. You're going to have to get in front of the judge, and you're going to have to articulate the situation. So if you hit them a few times using a force multiplier and they back up, and they say something, and then they come at you again, you can then take the force multiplier and then go to another option. If this is a fixed blade, you pull it off the sheath, you don't have the option. And the reason for that is, I want you guys to imagine that the knife is up. Like I said, I'm not going to unlock the blade while I'm driving. The blade is up. If I pull a fixed blade and I hit with the butt of the handle, right, and I hit them, if they charge me when you hit, the knife comes into you, right? So even if you stab them and they push into you, the knife comes back. So if you're hitting them with this side, right? If you're hitting them with this side and the blade goes this way, right? If you hit them and then they come at you, then you got defend yourself against your own knife. That's why I'm not a big fan of fixed blades for self-defense. It doesn't give you enough options. Self-defense isn't to kill someone. Everyone gets this idea of like you gotta kill somebody or whatever, take a life just because you're. No, self-defense is stopping the threat and getting yourself to safety. Self-defense is not killing people. Like people carrying these big ass guns. It's absolutely ridiculous. If you look at the ballistics, you look at what to use, how to use it, and what's the most efficient weapon, then most people would change their mind of what they need to be carrying for personal protection or concealed carry from a firearm perspective. And I could make that video at another time. Again, that's not for this video. But when you're in the situation that we're in right now, we're living in a pandemic, everyone's wearing masks. I know that a lot of people like to argue, did the ninja wear a mask? And I think the people who argue that is just completely, they can't be smart. But I get it. Common sense isn't common. You'd be shocked at how many people just simply cannot use critical thinking skills on a rational level. I guess that's why I needed to say it like that. So if you look at the mask from a historical perspective, from a warrior perspective in history, you see all SAS, Navy SEAL, even SWAT, everyone wears a mask. Why? Because it covers up your identity. It covers up your identity. It helps you blend in. So we know modern military, modern police, modern warriors, special forces, CIA, FBI, etc., SAS, whatever. They all have they would wear a mask to do specific missions. No question. We know it's definitely we know that it's definitely in the modern day. Now, if you go historically, look at like the assassin, I think it's called, in the Middle East, they wore masks. Look at the various different assassins that we see in China. They wore masks. Just look at the samurai. The samurai wore a damn mask. It was the Ninpo. We're over here, and they did it to protect themselves, and it was part of the armor that they would wear. You've also seen various different kinds of chainmail in classical Japanese culture, and that chainmail would be where it would cover up the face and things like that. We've seen lots of different people who are very educated in ninjutsu talk about chainmail being a very important and integral aspect to the wear of the shinobi. We've seen various different scrolls talk about how they would cover their face, whether it was like ink or coal or maybe like a sanjaku tenugui, or they would cover their face with their kimono, or there's lots of different things that they discuss. But nonetheless, regardless of every single picture that we see when we're looking at Japanese culture where they are wearing masks, and you're looking at all the different scrolls, densho, makimono, etc., of everyone talking about it, talking about covering your face, you still have people that want to say whether or not a ninja would or would not have worn a mask. To me, it's a very easy answer, and the answer is if they needed to wear a mask and cover their face, they would. If they did not need to wear a mask in the particular mission, then they would not. I think there's, again, but some people just can't accept that as an answer. Now, the reason I'm bringing up Japanese cultural headdress, I'm going to use headdress as the wear, something more on their face or their head. I'm not going to get into each one, but the way that they wrapped it, a different way meant something different for a different, for lack of a better word, job or action, okay? Or ceremonial action. So if that's the case, what is the protocol for situational awareness now when looking at masks, when you're trying to go from the different stages of, okay, is this person no threat? They might be a threat. You need to put them on attention, and then they're a threat. So you have the different areas that you got to be putting people in. Obviously, red is like, okay, they're a threat. Yellow is you need to keep them, you get their yellow dot, okay, they're someone that you need to keep a hold of. But my thing is like when you look at like, this is what made me think of this video here. When you look at what people wear, I thought about this. When they wear what I'm going to call the COVID mask, and the COVID mask is a mask that people wear, and there's a big ass bump here, and my car is so low when I hit this, it just, God, kills my car, I'm telling you, I wish they would fix that. They probably have it there so people don't speed through here though. But anyway, we'll get back the COVID mask. When people wearing the COVID mask, it goes over the ear and then the nose and the mouth. So people see that and they're like, okay, that's a COVID mask. Of course, a thief or whatever could do the same thing. Just a few days ago, we had a guy that was a bomber and he blew up a bunch of buildings in the downtown of a major city. No one, you can't use facial recognition because it covers it up, and so on and so forth. And let me tell you what, we know for a fact that, covering yourself with a mask does protect you from viruses, right? So self-defense is self-defense. You need to defend yourself against shit, and that is against viruses. So wear a damn mask. The problem with wearing a mask, though, is it makes it very difficult for the government to be able to use facial recognition and ID when bad people do bad shit. An example, like when the bombs are going off in a major city. When you do look at masks and the way that you should look at them, my thought process here is, if you look at a COVID mask, it goes around the ear and it comes around the nose and then back around the ear, usually something along those lines. Or they wear the gator version, I think that's right, where they pull it up over the neck and over. So from a social perspective, when we see it goes over the ear and here, or it comes up, it's a perfectly acceptable wear socially. But if we was to see something to where they pulled it over their head and they pulled it down, then we would be like, that's not socially acceptable. And then you would put them on, you'd be putting them on the red. You'd be like, okay, I need to watch this dude. He's in there wearing, it's all covered up. So I think that a lot of times when society changes, it's constantly in flux, everything's constantly changing, and we have to change with it, or we could be a victim. And when you're dealing with self-defense in a society that's constantly changing, and the weapons are constantly changing, and the tools are constantly changing, and the technology is constantly changing, these topics have to keep coming up over and over and over again, because we need to have a good grip on what it is that we're doing, why we're doing it, how we're doing it, and what reason are we doing it for, so we can properly protect ourselves, the ones that we love, and those people who cannot protect themselves. And that's what we're training for. So, guys, this is just some thoughts that I was thinking. For you guys, what are your thoughts on situational awareness, concealed carry, and people wearing masks now in society, and how that relates to your guys' situational awareness process? So you guys can stick your comments in the section below. That would be great. So anyway, if you guys are interested in authentic ninjutsu and classical samurai bujutsu, please check out our website at www.budoninjutsu.com. There you can see a list of our schools, the philosophies that we teach, the areas of training that we provide. If you do not live next to one of our schools, you guys can always join the Budo online ninjutsu dojo, and you can start your training today. So again, thank you guys very much for your love and support. I deeply appreciate it. And until next time, take care, be safe, and good luck in your journey of Budo.